Hi, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design, and we are almost finished with this high poly barrel. So one of the things that we are going to do is take these rivets and rotate them around. Now, I don't remember where we were in the last video because I actually made a huge mistake as I was moving forward, and I had to kind of come back and reset my scene a little bit. So I can't remember if I took the pivot point of these rivets, this rivet object, and placed it in the center of our barrel. That is what I want to do. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to just select the rivets, click on hierarchy, effect pivot point only. I'm going to center it to object, align to world, and then I'm going to, keep pivot point only affected. What's this called? Alignment. Align it to the barrel and only align it in the XY position from pivot point to center. Say OK. Now that means that the pivot point for these are in the center of the barrel, and that's good because if I rotate these, it should rotate perfectly around the barrel itself. Okay? Yay. Now, what I want to do is, the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want these rivets to be in the center of a slat or a stave. I want it to be here. So I'm actually going to left click angle snaps, and I'm going to set that to 1 degree. That's fine. And I'm going to left click and just wait till it gets in the middle. That's 9 degrees. It looks like the perfect degree. Yay. Right click that, or disable that. Okay. Now that that's centered appropriately, the reason why I modeled them in the corner was because when I went to, or in the little slot, is because when I went into front view, I wanted my modeling tools to be perfectly aligned with the world positions. Okay. Now I just rotated them. The next thing I want to do is just make sure this is an editable poly, and I want to go in and add another edit poly. I want to make sure that all of the faces of these rivets are set to ID2, and they are. And if they're not, you can just set that to 1, or set it to 2. And that will make sure that they are the same material as the metal hoops. Yay. Uncheck polygon mode. Come here. Now here's the next tool we're going to use is the array tool. It's a lot of fun. With the rivet selected, go ahead and go to Tools, Array. Now there's a couple different kind of arrays. We are doing a polar array, which it's no different than a regular array. It's just that we're going to change the rotation. If the rotation is set to 0, nothing's going to happen. So this is what we're going to do. I want this to be rotated 360 degrees, and the number that I want, it's going to have to align with the planks here, or with the staves. So let's first want to set the total, and so this is a huge deal. So this is a huge interface. So I could set this up to incremental. I just happen to know that, 18 degrees? No, 30. If I want to do 1 every 36 degrees, 1 copy. I'm going to show you what that looks by enabling preview. It's actually perfect because 36 degrees times 10 times equals 360, right? So we actually have 10 sets of these rivets at 36 degrees each. It's going to go to 360. And look, that's why it was so important to figure out the number of slats each time and really make it divisible by 4 so that we could work with this 360 degree setup that we've got going. Okay, that actually fits perfectly. So do that and say okay. Now what we want to do is we want to select this barrel, set it, give it another edit poly, and I'm going to use the attach tool, and I'm going to attach all of these rivets. Now I could do it one at a time, or I can click on the little list button to the side and select all of these, say attach, and now right click to disable that attach, and now this barrel is ready to go. Now there are a couple things we don't have. We don't have the bung hole. We don't have some other I think maybe the bung hole and any sort of pipes and stuff we haven't modeled, but that's okay. We're gonna keep this the way it is. The last thing I want to point out is, why did I add all of those edit polys? Here's the fun part. You can turn off these edit polys, and to see all of the different stages, oops, see this stage was slightly different. This is where you can see I made a mistake, because I turn off my edit poly here, this edit poly. Oh, you see a whole bunch of rivets, but I wasn't able to actually rotate them well, so that's where I made my mistake. Okay, this next edit poly is where we added the top. This edit poly is where we added all the staves, and then the bend, the turbo smooth, all the way down to the box, and this is where we started. So it's kind of fun to keep these modifiers. It'll show you how you modeled along the way. And this is where I am. I've already named this HP barrel. Let's just go ahead and make sure the pivot is centered to the object, as well as aligned to itself from pivot point to minimum for the Z position only. Say OK. Uncheck that, and now this is perfectly aligned to 0, 0, 0. Perfect! After this, we are going to model the low poly barrel and start baking some stuff to it. Bye!